Welcome to First Bite, our Detroit Lions midweek podcast, off-season edition, post-draft edition, which means we are starting one of my favorite series where we get to know the Detroit Lions draft class, and we're going to start in reverse order. But before we get into all that, my name is Jeremy Reisman. I'm the editor-in-chief over at Pride of Detroit. You can find me at Detroit Online on Twitter. As always, my co-host for First Bite, Ryan Matthews, senior editor of Pride of Detroit at Ryan_POD. Ryan, how we doing?
It feels good to be kicking off this series of podcasts just because we get a bunch of people in here who know what they're talking about.
Yes. We scramble in the 24, 48 hours after the draft to figure out all we can. And there's a limit because we don't see these guys. We're not in the building with these guys. We don't talk to these guys. And so if this is your first time joining us post-draft, we bring on a beat writer from the beat that covered the players that, and like I said, we're gonna start in reverse order here. So we are gonna start with the Lions 7th-round pick, cornerback Chase Lucas from Arizona State. So to help break us down, Chase Lucas, we've got Hod Rabino, the Arizona State beat writer for Devil's Digest. Hod, thank you for joining us, man.
No problem, Jeremy. Thanks for having me on, and good to see you too, Ryan.
Well, let's start at the beginning here, because I kind of want to get to know him as a person, which I hear is, he's a leader, that sort of stuff. So let's just start at the very beginning. He's a 4-star recruit out of high school, got offers from Notre Dame, Nebraska, but he decided to stay home in the Arizona area where he grew up. So why do you think that was so important to him?
Well, it really was a 3-player pack that ended up being just a 2-player pack. Between him, N'Keal Harry, who was a wide receiver at Chandler High School, and if you may know, as a first-round draft pick of the New England Patriots, and Byron Murphy, who wasn't too far from them in Scottsdale, Saguaro, cornerback, who now plays locally for the Arizona Cardinals. So all 3 of them made a pact that they are going to stay home and they are going to play for Arizona State. Byron Murphy ended up actually playing for Washington, but Chase Lucas and N'Keal Harry kept that end of the pack. And I think it really comes down to that both of them are really big family guys. N'Keal Harry was living over here with his grandma from the Bahamas. The rest of his family were back there in the Bahamas. And Chase Lucas is somebody who just really had a very strong knit family over here in the Valley of the Sun. So for both him and N'Keal Harry, it was really a no-brainer to play for the Sun Devils. But like you said, both him and N'Keal Harry had great offers from all around the country. N'Keal Harry is actually a 5-star prospect out of high school. So they definitely had their pick of the litter, and they decided to be, as they say over here in Tempe, hometown heroes.
Yeah, so Hod, he decides to be a hometown hero, right? And he set up camp, and he was in Arizona State for quite some time, right? So talk about early on as a player, he's redshirted in 2016. But from there on, I mean, the guy played a lot of football for Arizona State. So what was Chase's maturation process as a player from, starting as a freshman in 2017 and moving forward?
I think Ryan, to bring up an excellent point of the maturation, because you really could see somebody, and heck, Chase Lucas was here for 6 years, so you definitely get to see a lot of maturation with any player, even with a 2-3 year period, let alone a 6-year period. But yes, I think that he was, a young and spunky cornerback, likes to trash talk. And I get a lot of quarterbacks trash talk anyway, no matter if they're freshmen or 5th-year seniors. But right. Chase Lucas definitely fit that persona of the cornerback that is going to talk trash, but it's somebody who really was the life of the team. And you definitely saw throughout his career at Arizona State that he did settle down. I'm not saying that it took the fire out of his game or anything like that, but maybe later on in his career, he kind of knew which fights to pick, for lack of a better term. And I think that's what elevated him to captain status in his last year at Arizona State. Chase Lucas was very open, and I think head coach Herm was too, how disappointed it was that he didn't get it in the previous year. But Herm Edwards wanted to see that maturation from Chase Lucas. I think Chase Lucas really answered the call, if you will, and became a more mature player, which I think really helped his skills by default. So they're definitely a player that it was really fun to see grow in front of your eyes. I mean, maybe his career when you look at performance-wise, stat-wise, was a little bit of a roller coaster. But I think in terms of maturity, both physically and mentally, you definitely saw the trajectory you want to see from a player that's been in the program for so long.
I want to go back to that redshirt freshman year where you got the cocky kid who's playing cornerback, but not really that experienced at the cornerback position. Played a lot of running back in high school. So, but 8 passes defended that first season that he played. Was there a moment where you saw him play where like that guy has a lot, like he could be special?
Yeah, I mean, I really think just the fact that he played so well as a redshirt freshman, and like I said, really with no defensive back experience at all in high school. And I know that some people here who really follow the high school scene very closely were surprised that one of the best running backs his senior year in high school here in the Phoenix metro area goes and plays cornerback. But give credit to the ASU coaches that knew that yes, we need to bring a guy like Chase Lucas on board, but he needs to play a whole different position altogether. I know the defensive coordinator back then, Phil Bennett, always joked that Chase Lucas was reminding him how much of a better running back he is than actually cornerback. He said not exactly what you want to hear as a defensive coordinator, but like I said, the beauty of Chase Lucas is that he really took to the position really quickly and really proved that he was able to make that transition. I'm not going to say seamlessly because definitely were some growing pains, but I think really from the first year that he played the position at Arizona State and started for so many games, really was an etched in stone starter, if you will, for Arizona State. It wasn't really the lesser of two evils or anything like that. He's somebody that was able to prove himself each and every year that he was one of the best players on defense, especially in the defensive backfield. So maybe it's not uncommon for players such as Chase Lucas to make such a drastic position change from high school to college, and you already have a lot of challenges playing in that next level to begin with. But I think Chase Lucas, by and large, was really able to conquer those challenges very, very, very well.
So I don't mean to put you on the spot, Hod, but we ask this question to everybody we bring in for this segment. Was there a moment in a game that really stood out to you where you were like, all right, Chase Lucas, like this guy is, ends up being a freshman All-American? Like, was there a moment in that first season where you're like, this guy, he gets it?
I really don't know if it was really a specific moment in terms of like a big pass breakup or interception or anything like that. But I think just the fire that he brought. I mean, maybe to some lesser talented or lesser experienced wide receivers, that's somewhat intimidating. I mean, sure, you have to back up the smack talk, but again, you said it yourself. You look at the numbers that he put up as a redshirt freshman. The fact that he was an all freshman team, then that really shows that combination of God-given talent, but also jawing at the opponent all the time. I think I was really able to successly play the head games to his advantage. So I think that's something that really stuck with me. Quite early in his career. Again, he really tapered down that aspect of his game, that aspect of his personality, to be honest. But that did not take away from his abilities on each and every Saturday. So maybe a young cornerback like him, again, somebody who made a drastic position change from high school, maybe he needed to have that persona, if you will, to become successful. Doesn't always work for everybody, no matter what position on the field they play. But I think for Chase Lucas, that played really, really well. I mean, he's somebody that fired up himself. He fired up the teammates. He fired up his crowd. Fired up the crowd. And again, I think the fact that he was a local player, that was just maybe icing on the cake to the whole package named Chase Lucas.
It's interesting you talk about this kind of transformation from a cocky in your face kind of guy to more of a mature guy. I'm kind of curious if that maybe was triggered by the coaching change that he underwent. Like, you go from an authoritarian type like Todd Graham to very much a player's coach. And, not that Herm Edwards isn't going to get on you. He certainly will, but he played the game. He's a former cornerback. He knows it. Do you think there's maybe any sort of connection to him maturing from going from one to another?
Well, look, I won't disagree that authoritarian figure such as Todd Graham is somebody who didn't always take too kindly for any players being extra boisterous. And not only right. Chase Lucas, I'm not implying that he got on his case more than other players, but I think that when you have the performance to back up the smack talk, if you will, then that sometimes coaches know that, okay, I mean, I'm going to let that player do him and let him showcase his personality as long as it does not affect his play on any given down. But it's funny you mentioned that, because Chase Lucas was not shy saying that he didn't like the Todd Graham style of head coaching. He said if Todd Graham stayed actually one extra year before him and ASU parted ways, that he would seriously consider transferring out. Now, maybe it's easy to say that after the fact when that just stays in the realm of a theory rather than a reality that does actually test that statement. But nonetheless, I think that actually, in a weird way, maybe the fact that he played for Herm Edwards and assistant coaches who were not really on his case as much as Todd Graham and his assistants back then, it's kind of ironic that actually that's the time where he was given freedom, maybe to express himself more than his first 2 years in Tempe, but nonetheless, he knew how to taper it down, really let the normal maturity take over instead of fighting it. And I think it really definitely benefited him both in his ASU career and now as a cornerback drafted in the NFL draft.
It's an interesting transformation, and I'll let you get right into it, Ryan. But like, the reason I brought that up is because the Lions, obviously, they went through something very similar with Matt Patricia being kind of an authoritarian type, and now very much a player's coach in Dan Campbell. So to kind of see someone already go through that, I wonder how that might impact him in the NFL, having gone through that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to have, his rookie moments.
Sure.
Whether it's coaches being too hard on him, his teammates asking him to carry their laundry or go out for a late beer run, and anything like that when he picks up the tab. But yeah, maybe some of the experiences he had over here at ASU, again, a 6-year career, which is rare, even with the COVID super senior phenomenon. Maybe he's ready for anything Detroit can throw at him.
Wow, yeah, the COVID super senior. What a very specific class of player.
He's definitely part of that class. Absolutely.
Yeah.
6 years at Arizona State.
Yeah. So, in all that time, Hod, you mentioned that kind of roller coaster of production that he experienced. And I want to go back to, what Jeremy mentioned with the coaching change. As Jeremy mentioned, Herm Edwards, former defensive back in the NFL. But I think that roller coaster probably ended, the best way that it could, like right over the biggest hill, right? Like it seemed like he had a lot of momentum going into senior season and things like that. Do you feel like Herm Edwards was how vital do you think Herm Edwards was in that process of him growing as a cornerback?
Oh, extremely vital, because I don't know if you mentioned this, but Herm Edwards himself was a defensive back in the NFL, and a pretty good one at it.
Yeah.
So I think that the fact that the credibility factor, not only from somebody who was an NFL coach for so many years, telling you each and every day in practice, this is what you need to do to get to the next level, but with somebody like Chase Lucas, that rings even truer because Herm Edwards is somebody who had played the same exact position as Chase Lucas played, and that really, to me, just carries so much more weight. I mean, I think Chase Lucas really took to Herm Edwards from day one, so I don't know if Herm Edwards needed to show extra credibility for somebody like Chase Lucas, for example, but it wasn't uncommon at all for us to see in any given practice Herm Edwards, with the permission of the defensive backs coach, doing actually personal coaching of not only Chase Lucas but the entire group. And again, there's no doubt in my mind that Chase Lucas and his entire teammates in that position definitely took to heart what Herm Edwards was teaching them, because, like I said, the credibility factor for him is absolutely unquestionable. So when you look at the development of Chase Lucas, when you look at where Chase Lucas is right now in his career, absolutely somebody like Herm Edwards definitely has a pretty big part of that, I would say.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more Chase Lucas, get more into kind of the details of what kind of player he is. We're here with Hod Rabino from Devil's Digest. We'll be right back on First Bite. Okay. Really quick, I'm just going to talk about a couple things from our live audience really quick. Thank you to Wizard for the 14-month subscription. Nate J, thank you for the follow. Catman Do, thank you for the follow. Absolvo, thank you for the 6 months. And Data and Lore, thank you for the 15-month subscribe. Appreciate you guys. We are going to jump right back into the second segment so that we can get as much out of Hod as we can in about a half hour. We don't want to keep him too long. So give me 1 second to just give a little break for the audio cut, and we'll get right back into it. And we are back here on First Bite with Hod Rabino from Arizona, the Arizona State beat writer for Devil's Digest, talking about Lions 7th-round pick Chase Lucas, the cornerback. Hod, let's get a little bit into what kind of player he is, and I want to start just what I guess if you could describe how he plays. Is he a physical cornerback? Is he more of a mental guy? Is he a combination of the both?
I think Chase Lucas is somebody who is not a freak athlete by any means. He's definitely, a taller cornerback, even in the NFL standards, being a 5'11". But I wouldn't consider himself a physical, cornerback. I think really him not shying away from tackles isn't so much because he has a lot of confidence in his physical abilities to just knock down receivers no matter what size they are. But I think it's just the self-confidence that he really exudes on each and every snap. I think he's somebody that relies successfully and heavily on his technique, on his football IQ. Again, you can't overstate how much experience a guy like Chase Lucas has, been 6 years in the program, and that can compensate with him trying to engage in the footwork and with any given wide receiver. I think he's somebody who naturally would work much better on the boundary side than the field side. I mean, granted, even on that side of the field, you can get receivers that are plenty quick and even more physical in nature. But nonetheless, I think he's somebody that just knows the tools that he has, doesn't try to be something that he can't be. And I think that's something that served him really, really well in the college level. Obviously, NFL is going to be a whole different story. But I think if the coaches in Detroit can really understand what kind of skill set he has and more importantly, put him in situations that he can succeed, which again, probably won't be trying to chase a wide receiver on a post route or a go route 20, 30, 40 yards down the field. I think Chase Lucas can be somebody that can have a pretty nice career in the NFL.
So I think what's interesting, Hod, you mentioned, he wasn't anything super special in terms of an athlete, right? And I think this is an interesting draft pick from the Lions standpoint because they really put a priority on like positional versatility and being able to kind of move guys around. And I want to know specifically like in terms of where Chase was playing, because he's pretty like average in terms of size too, like 5'11", 180. Was he playing on the inside? Was he playing on the outside? Was he doing a bunch of that stuff at Arizona State?
Well, yeah, it's interesting that you brought it up because when ASU was lining up in nickel last year, it was not uncommon to see Chase Lucas most of the time actually be that nickel back. So I think he does have some versatility. I think some of us even speculated that maybe Chase Lucas would be drafted as a safety or just be looked at as safety at the next level. Now, for what it's worth, the Detroit Lions front office don't see him as a safety, but I'm really curious if he sticks with the Lions for a few years, maybe they do see him playing that safety role. Or maybe if he does go to another NFL team, no matter if it's the near future or the distant future, maybe they actually view him as a safety. I'm not saying he doesn't have the ability to play cornerback at the NFL level, but again, he's just a maybe more unique cornerback as far as not being somebody who can really keep in a foot race with the vast majority of the wide receivers that he's going to cover. But that does not mean that he is not a good cover cornerback to begin with. And again, not that 5'11", 180 is really that slim,
right.
But even for not being a big framed cornerback, and I don't know how many of those exist in the NFL to begin with, he's somebody who's definitely does not shy away from contact, does not mind taking chances, with ball strips or just deflecting passes. So I think that he knows who he is, and I think he really maximized his God-given talents to his best of his abilities. And I'm sure there are coaches over there in Detroit that can really do the same and just put him in situations which do fit Chase Lucas best, rather than trying to make him something that he's not, especially in a more challenging level of football.
Is he a safety, Jeremy? Is that what we're hearing?
Maybe, yeah. The Lions certainly enjoy guys that are positional versatile, and they move corners to safety, and safety is a corner last year, so it wouldn't be surprising to see him play multiple spots in training camp or next week's rookie camp. So that's good to know that you think maybe he's maybe a better fit at safety, and that would make sense, right? It's a cerebral position, and he's a guy with a ton of experience, probably knows everything, which kind of leads me to my next question, which is he more adept at maybe being a zone coverage kind of guy because he can recognize coverages like that and doesn't have maybe the physical abilities to be a man, like a pure man guy?
Well, that's another interesting question because ASU really hasn't played much zone.
Okay.
I mean, even under Todd Graham, and especially under Herm Edwards, it really was mostly man-to-man. And I think with the zone coverage, I mean, sure, to have that high football IQ is definitely either a showstopper or an absolute foundation that you need to have to play that. But with that, I think comes the agility and comes the speed. Yeah. And I don't want to say that Chase Lucas is flat of foot. I mean, he ran a 4.48 in the combine. Right. I mean, that's nothing really to be ashamed about. I mean, sure, there were faster corners than him, and probably majority of those corners actually got drafted higher. But I think also to be a successful zone coverage guy, you do have to have, I would probably above average agility and speed to go with that. So I don't know if Chase Lucas would be somebody who would feel that comfortable in a zone coverage that really required that. But that's why I think, as a safety, maybe playing, closer to the line of scrimmage, or maybe being that, I would say, wingman, if you will, for a cornerback, trying to cover somebody in space. I think Chase Lucas is somebody who I think, at least on paper, can execute those duties quite well. But again, when I talk about versatility with Chase Lucas, I'm really hesitant to talk about him being a successful zone defensive back, just because A, he didn't do that much at all at ASU in that capacity, and B, I just really doubt that his overall skill set would really lend itself to being a very successful zone defensive back. He has a very good skill set that just has to be utilized in the right areas. Again, I'm just not sure zone coverage would be one of those.
So I feel like we've kind of like tiptoed around it and danced around it a little bit. We've talked a lot about, what Chase Lucas can do. What are some of the challenges that he's going to have to overcome that you were able to see during his time at ASU, and that he still needs to work on in the NFL to be successul?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, not that he's slow as molasses out there trying to cover players, but he is going to lose. He's going to lose a lot of foot races. He's not the most physical corner, so even in tight spaces, I would definitely have my question marks arise whether they can really stop a lot of physical wide receivers out there. And look, I mean, you can roll tape on any given Sunday. A lot of cornerbacks that are much more experienced, and some would say even more talented than Chase Lucas, do give up big plays to the physical wide receivers. So I don't think it would be really different in that sense. But in terms of closing speed, I mean, I don't think that Chase Lucas really has that trait in good doses. So that's why I think in maybe tighter spaces, as long as the wide receiver isn't really physically overmatching, I mean, that's something that's really gonna help him quite a bit. And I just feel that again, he just has the very, very specific skill set of a cornerback that, again, is not going to wow you with his agility and how nimble he's going to be, but you just have to put him in the really right position to succeed. And again, that just might be closer spaces. That might be really maybe close to the line of scrimmage. Really trying to jam wide receivers within that 5-yard buffer rather than try to chase him down the field later on in the play. So I think that those are the set of elements, set of parameters that really have to be present for Chase Lucas to have success at the NFL level.
Well, the other way that he can obviously have success, and it's common for a lot of late round picks, is through special teams. So can you go over maybe his resume as a special teamer, and do you think he has that kind of aggressive mentality that's necessary to be a special teamer at the NFL level?
Yeah, I know that, first of all, just take this off the table, that as a returner, both a punt and kick returner, I mean, he was tried over there very, very seldom, did not really have a good track record over there. I think ASU was very lucky to have very, very talented players at those positions during Chase Lucas's tenure. So I don't see him assuming that role in the NFL. As far as ASU, more earlier in career than later was he on special teams. But yes, I think that in terms of being an above average player on special teams, yes, I think I would definitely put that label on Chase Lucas. And needless to say, when you're drafted in the 7th round, you better prove that you're one heck of a special teams player, starting right now with the rookie camp, let alone with the preseason camp in August. So I think if that's what's going to take for Chase Lucas to actually make the team, I think that he might have a good chance to do that, because from what we saw at Arizona State, maybe somewhat limited body of work, I think that I saw enough flashes, if you will, to think that yes, that he can be a good special teams player. And again, not only just using his athletic ability, but really the football IQ element of his game, which is higher than athletic ability. And I think still is something that can serve even a special teams player who's, running with like his head is cut off down the field, but really having the right angle to make that crucial tackle on a kick or punt return is definitely a gift that I think somebody like Chase Lucas does have. And again, just because his skill set really almost forces him to be that type of player, type of defensive back that has to really calculate angles, because he's not going to win each and every foot race, whether it's a wide receiver or a punt/kick returner.
And we kick things off by talking about who he was as a person. I'm a little bit more intrigued to learn just a bit more about him as a person, as a football player. Like, what were his leadership qualities? You talked about how he'd like to, fire up his other teammates, fire up the crowd. How was he able to do that?
Well, I think it's just really just woven in his personality. It's absolutely part of his DNA. And maybe, like I said, early in the career, it was like, hyping himself up, hyping up the crowd. But as a team captain, it was more just channeled to like hyping your teammates. I mentioned earlier before we came on air that as you and probably a lot of people watching the podcast right now, that ASU, unfortunately, since last May, has been under NCAA investigation for alleged recruiting violations. And obviously it has been chaos ever since. And Chase Lucas did and I think he said this on social media, or maybe in an interview to beat writers, but he basically told his teammates, said, look, the transfer portal is right there. If you want to exit it right now. But if you're going to stay on this team, you're going to fight, and you're going to give all of yourself to this Sun Devil squad. And I think that's a perfect example of somebody who wasn't, just laying into teammates that left or were thinking about leaving or anything like that, but rather just really channeling that fire and that passion of him as a player in a very, very positive manner. So he definitely has a big personality. And you always kind of wonder with rookies, they kind of know their place, and maybe when they feel more secure at their place, maybe then let the personality stand out. But I'm telling you right now, Jeremy and Ryan, I won't be surprised if he's going to be a media darling from day one in rookie camp, and maybe later on in preseason camp. They could say, 7th rounder, 50-50 chance at best to make the team. But I think he'll definitely make things entertaining for the beat writers, make things entertaining in the locker room. He definitely has a big personality. He definitely is funny. He doesn't really hold back a lot. And if he makes the team, I think his confidence is just going to grow more and more, not only on the field but off the field. It is really going to be a fun player to cover, and maybe even a fan favorite sooner rather than later.
This is me writing down that he can weather adversity, because that you're in Detroit, you might have to weather some adversity at some point. Last question I have from you, and I like to ask this one: Is there a play or a moment in a press conference or something amongst Chase Lucas's 5, 6, whatever year career was at Arizona State that is just like it's pure Chase Lucas? That is who he is. That's who you're going to get. That's what Lions fans should expect.
Yeah, as a beat writer, I mean, he just has like this way too many quotes to even like remember one specific one. But like I said, he's just absolutely entertaining, but at the same time, really, really frank. I mean, even when he gets serious, you really, really, I would say, learn to appreciate his candor and his honesty. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it was brutal honesty. Like you said, if Todd Graham stayed here for one more year, I would never play for him. As a beat writer, I mean, you want to get that honesty from a player and really tell the way it is. But on the field, I think the play that not only stands out to me the most, but I'm sure to every person who followed Chase Lucas's career here in Tempe, is in 2018, I believe, they played on the road in Seattle against the University of Washington. Rainy game at night, which is not out of the norm at all for a place like Seattle. Sure. In the first play of the game, the Huskies tried a trick play where the wide receiver is actually the one that threw the pass. Chase Lucas intercepted that. Wasn't too far from a pick six, but did return that interception into the red zone, and ASU scored right away with like 2.5 minutes into the game. They ended up losing that game, but they were like clear underdogs on that night. And that play by Chase Lucas maybe gave ASU fans and coaches some kind of hope they were able to pull the upset. That definitely never happened, but that was definitely a big play by Chase Lucas. And I think the bigger part of the play, I should say, is that was the year when a lot of teams had the turnover chain, mm-hmm. and each team had their own rituals. So what ASU had, and I thought it was really cool and really original, they actually had a barbell on the sidelines, and Chase Lucas was just like lifting the barbell over there. And some people criticize his form, like it wasn't all the way to his chest or whatever. But I thought like it was a really, really cool gesture. But I think the coaches at ASU caught enough flack that they stopped that tradition right after that. They didn't want to talk about it. They couldn't address it if you asked them about it in an interview. So Chase Lucas will live, I'm not saying infamy, but for being the first and the last player with the turnover barbells. That was definitely a cool thing to see. And again, with his personality, with him being so jovial, that absolutely fit like a glove to the hand to see that guy do it.
Well, that's Hod Rabino, the Arizona State beat writer from Devil's Digest. Really appreciate your time. Great insight, and now I feel like I know a lot more about the Lions 7th-round pick in Chase Lucas. Before we let you go, is there anything you want to plug if Lions fans want to know more about him or maybe Arizona State football?
Yeah, on my front page, devilsdigest.com, the article is still there about Chase Lucas and just really a quick snapshot of his career. And what he's done at Arizona State. If you go to my YouTube channel, which is also Devil's Digest, and just do a search for Chase Lucas, trust me, you're going to have a lot of gems over there in terms of interviews and quotes. My Twitter is at Devil's Digest, and again, I'll just leave Lions fans with this. I mean, if Chase Lucas is going to make the team, and I know 7th-round pick, the odds may not always be in your favor, but you're going to have a lot of fun covering him if he's going to make the team, and I think. Like I said, just through rookie camp and preseason camp, I think is really going to be fun to follow. And when he's going to be in front of a microphone or a camera, just be ready for anything and everything. I think it's really going to be fun to follow him and hear what he has to say. And, I mean, for me, for somebody that's known him for so many years, a really, really easy guy to root for. And I hope he just really kicks ass over there in Detroit or just wherever his NFL career takes him.
Hey, like Hod just said, jump over to the Devil's Digest YouTube channel and check out Chase Lucas do some barbells. That's got to be there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Hod, for joining us. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week talking about the next Lions draft pick. But until then, thanks for listening. It's chaos. Be kind.